Hello friends, welcome back to the channel and to another week in Oxford. Now, for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, then you know that we return to Oxford as often as we can for little writing retreats to make progress on my PhD. And you may have also noticed that the recent videos have featured a lot of voiceovers. Now, the plan was not to do that for this video. However, I did develop a really bad chest cold right before getting to Oxford for this trip. And so I actually lost my voice and I had this really awful cough. So I just decided that I would wait. I wouldn't talk to the camera very much during this trip. So that way I would just get a voiceover when my voice was a little bit better, which you can hear. It's almost there. We're almost back to normal. But this was Monday where we got to start out the day by grabbing coffee with Amy. Amy is another PhD content creator, primarily on TikTok. And I actually reached out to her a couple of weeks prior because she was talking a little bit about mental health and her challenges in a PhD program. And I just think it's so important to connect and to have this community as a graduate student. This is part of why I started Accepted Society, because this experience can be rather isolating, and just being able to meet up with others that are going through what you're going through and to be able to talk about, your experiences without focusing on the research is just really valuable. So this day was all about getting work done, setting the groundwork for the week ahead, and also just spending time with friends. So we got to have a little lunch in Covered Market and then head on back into the rad cam. It was roasting hot because it was a heat wave. So we just tried to stay in the lower section of the rad cam where it was a little bit cooler and ended up getting quite a bit of work done. There was no new words on the page for this particular day, but that's kind of what this vlog is all about. It's not necessarily about the words on the page as much as it is about laying the groundwork, so that way there are days where there are a lot of words going into the document. So on this day, there was a lot of admin, there was a lot of preparing the documents for the days ahead, and reviewing primary sources. We are now on to Tuesday, and this was a day that was one particularly hot, but was also when I was starting to feel my worst. It was just one of those days where when you get a chest cold, your cough is just really intense and you're just really not feeling it. But I wanted to make sure that I started the day out at least with one really solid work sprint. So I ended up joining one of the PH Done write-in sessions being led by Polly. This is one of the programs within Accepted Society. And this is just a 2-hour co-working session where I was working through some of my ideas and just kind of free writing. Now, one of the prompts that I was using is, what do you know about the early stages of settlement with the Virginia Company and the early organization of the Virginia Company without looking at your notes? And it was just a really helpful exercise to remember that there's actually a lot you do know without looking at the notes that you've taken. We then headed over to Turf Tavern for some lunch, and I got the most insane email. I have been asked to speak at the Oxford Union in a debate on behalf of higher education against AI. I am so thrilled. I was having the most insane pinch me moment sitting at Turf Tavern with Kate, receiving that email. And it is all thanks to YouTube and this content. So let me give you a little bit of an update without a voiceover. Hello, friends. It is the first time that I'm actually talking directly to the camera because, as you can hear in my voice, I've been a bit sick, and you have probably already told you that with a voiceover. But today is the last day of this vlog, and we have a very exciting, very productive day at the library planned. I think we're going to work at the Vera Harmsworth today because I need to access one of the books that they have on their shelves. I have tried to get the copy from Yale's Scan and Deliver. However, they were able to scan the first 2 chapters, but then the library system closed until July 9th. So I don't have access to that. Therefore, we are going to go to the Vera Harmsworth and take advantage of the fact that they have a physical copy. So that way I can work out the second part of the, or I guess the third part, the third section of chapter 2. Which focuses on the kind of fallout, the disillusion of the Virginia Company. And there's kind of 2 dominating theories that they both kind of hold water, which is that after the Anglo-Indian War and the need for the English
military essentially to step in, and two, that there was like factions forming within the Virginia Company. And the first part I have more familiarity with because Edmund Morgan talks about it. I have less familiarity with the second argument, so that's what I need to focus on today. And I've got Miss Kate over there. We also have a photo shoot later today with Laura, who is our photographer here in Oxford. So that's very exciting. We're gonna get some just new photos for Accepted because the photos that she took last year were wonderful, but we have used them to death. So we need some new material. But I'm gonna go ahead, pack up my bag, and we're gonna go grab some food and head to the library.
Returning to get to work at the Vera Harmsworth Library at the Rothmere American Institute just felt quite surreal. It's been a while since I've actually been in a library where all of the source material is right in front of me. Getting to actually see all of the secondary literature that I have looked at, that I have researched, that I have cited, that I have not been able to find a digital copy of, just having it directly at my disposal to touch, to read, to work with, was just an experience that I realized I haven't really had since I was in my master's degree. And so this day was really special. It was just getting to focus on this one document, this one secondary piece of literature. This was The Dissolution of the Virginia Company by Wesley Frank Craven. Now, this is a piece that has been cited by so many scholars that study the early settlement of Virginia, that study the Virginia Company specifically. And it was just really quite surreal to actually get to hold it and work with it. And one thing that I'm really walking away from with this trip, and specifically on this day, was the physical experience of doing history, of writing out the notes, of mapping things out, of creating a timeline, of thinking of all of the different subjects and actors and pulling all of the puzzle pieces together. This is what research is really about. And it's just something that I feel like I've been missing. And so today I really just focused on pen to paper, reading the physical book itself, and realizing that this is something that I've been missing, that I just feel really excited about. And so it's something that I'm going to start doing a little bit more as part of my practice. I've realized how important it is to actually be in the physical space, not only in the library along with students that are doing similar work, but to have actual access to the material. So that way you can engage with it and engage with its materiality, its physical presence. And it just sounds perhaps a little bit esoteric, or it just sounds like, a bit silly that it makes such a big difference, but it really does. And I am just walking away from, this week in Oxford and this vlog and seeing just what a massive difference it made getting to hold that book in my hand, to be able to engage with it right then and there. And so that's something I'm going to be focusing on going forward. I also want to share these little moments of pausing, of thinking, of contemplating, because I've been thinking a lot about the actual, performance of productivity and how it looks to a camera. And to me, I feel like when I'm filming clips where I am just looking at a book, or if I'm taking notes, or if I'm just staring into space, it doesn't look like I'm being productive. It only looks like I'm being productive if I'm typing. And I know that that's silly. I know that that's probably not what you think, but it's just something that I think about a lot as a creator. And I just wanted to show all of the different dimensions of working in the library today, of thinking with the text, of staring at the text, of staring at the wall, of thinking, and just how important it was, because in the next vlog, you'll see just how important this process was to actual written progress the next day. Well, yeah, I'm too tall for this. Like I have to kind of crouch if I actually sit up. I feel like I'm probably over. It just feels so awkward. You're not going anywhere. I hope you enjoyed that little clip of me freaking out about heights. We weren't actually that high up, but for some reason it just really freaked me out, and then my foot slipped and we just had a moment. But afterward we went and actually got a boba, and Kate had a call. So I used this time to actually write part of my dissertation out by hand. I was really struggling to get words on the page on my computer, so I just figured that we would just give it a shot. Just write in a notebook for once and see how it went. I ended the day with a community call and then a nice walk through Oxford. It was just the perfect day. It was the perfect day of being back in my favorite spaces, back in the Rothmere, going for a little photo shoot with Laura and Kate, and then just getting to end the day with friends. And I just really loved this vlog. I know it was a little bit short and it was mostly voiceover, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and let's go ahead and close it out. All right, friends, we've come to the end of the day, the end of the vlog. I'm going to be doing just a single day in Oxford tomorrow, so there's more Oxford content, but today was a really important day for process, and I think I have just been in a place where I need to figure out what tools make the most sense for me, and Scrivener has been hugely helpful. But what I learned today was that sometimes just a good old pen and paper is what you need to get your mind moving. So I am heading out to a pub to meet up with Kate and one of her friends for some dinner. And I'm going to go ahead and end off the vlog here. I hope that you enjoyed it. And let me know if you like the voiceover format. I've done it a little bit more the last couple of vlogs. This was not intentional. It's because I've been sick. But just let me know if you like it. And I will see you all next time. Bye, friends.